Okay, friends, today we have such a fun episode for you. I am doing Secrets of the Apprentice, part two, where I actually am on the show because part one really just went into like, how do you even apply for a reality TV show? What's the vetting process like? And then my own psychology of why I wanted to do a reality TV show in the first place. But today we are going to actually dive in to my season 5 of The Apprentice. This probably recorded in about 2005. I would have been like 31 years old. And I had already started maybe 7 companies. And when I was a contestant on The Apprentice, during that whole time, from the time I was 23 until the time I was like 32, I did not drink alcohol at all, whatsoever, or smoke weed. But now, to talk in depth about my experience on The Apprentice, oh, alcohol is involved. Yeah, it is. So as most of you know, I have been like on a weight loss journey and also just a journey of rediscovering myself after having woken up on 9/9/2023, $1.84 million in debt and sort of being called to come back into my companies and rerun them again after having been retired for 7 years. It has been a journey, but here we are. And in addition to talking all about re-rolling out all 14 of my companies, Eras Tour style, thanks Taylor, and building them and selling them and following the whole thing for a series, I'm also telling you the story of my past. And so I was a contestant on season 5 of The Apprentice, and I had been offered previous season 1 of The Apprentice. I've been told to apply by the person that was in charge of casting, and I kept not being able to do it time-wise. So I finally have time. It's season 5. While you absolutely should go back and listen to part 1, if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. Here are the important things that you need to know. I used to have panic attacks, and I had gotten over them 5 years before I went on The Apprentice. And one of the actual biggest reasons that I went on the show was my mentor, Dr. Richard Levac, who is also a world-renowned psychologist and therapist and fantastic human being. I still know him to this day. He had vetted every person that had been on Survivor or Apprentice or Amazing Race in the early years. And when the show came out, he was like, Andrea, this is like straight up your lane. This is so perfect for you. But I could not leave my businesses for that long of a period of time. So I negotiated a deal with the people at The Apprentice, with Mark Burnett and his production company, that said, hey, I need to be able to contact my offices or else I just literally can't do the show, because we were doing like, I don't even know, like 10 or $20 million annual revenue in delinquent distribution and sticker junkie combined. And so like it would not be a possible thing for me to just be off the radar. And then there was a thing where you could only tell like immediate family members that you were going, because when I tell you I had to sign an NDA, it was 95 pages long. 95 pages long. What? Do you know how long that is? I read the whole thing. I read the whole ass thing. And so my mentor, who gave me all those bazillions of books to read, he also has a Juris Doctorate law degree. And so he gave me so many law books to read over the years, so many law books. So I read my 95-page NDA, and I have been selected for the show. And then the show sends out producers to my house in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I live in this beautiful house in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Gene Hackman was one of my neighbors. Rest in peace. He just passed away. We only had like a slight crossover. It was the home he lived in, whatever, before his like home that he lived in. That was his final home for him and his wife. Wow, I'm so far off in the weeds. That is what happens on the episodes that include alcohol, which are only the Apprentice episodes, which means I have to shoot them in Sedona, because you guys, I have been on my health, rediscovery, weight loss journey, and I do not drink alcohol anymore when I am in San Diego, and I do not smoke weed anymore when I am in San Diego. So when I'm in Sedona, if I want to have a drink or a cocktail or a shandy or smoke a little weed, then I can, which is why I will be recording the Apprentice series while I'm here, because alcohol is required. So I've been chosen for the show. Mark Burnett Productions sends out like 2 producers and a camera crew to film me at my house. I have like 6.5 acres on my land, but then I also have like 14 more acres of surrounding land, because it was on a slope that was not developable in the most beautiful part of the outskirts of Santa Fe in Tesuque, New Mexico. It's just so beautiful. And there is nothing there. I mean, it is a like post office and a very cool, at the time, I don't know what's there now, a very cool like corner market that had amazing, delicious New Mexico style food, but also was like a corner liquor store that you could go to. And then some kind of Mexican restaurant, I think. And then a post office. And that's Tesuque, New Mexico. And there is an outdoor walking museum of beautiful, beautiful statues and artwork in Tesuque. And like, that's pretty much it. And the opera house is there. It might be more built up now. Finally, they put in a LaBerge right down the street from my house. And so there was this like full 5-star resort that I could like go and have. It was in Breaking Bad, that I could go and have a meal at. It was really close to my house, but really close to my house was like miles away from my house because I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere in New Mexico. But like for the camera, so they come out with the camera crew and they're filming my little, like, this is who I am. And I had my whole setup there. My big corporate offices were there and my whole team at Sticker Junkie and my whole team at Delinquent Distribution. And in like 2005. And then they asked me on the fly in like one of the interviews, what's your net worth? Well, I don't fucking know what my net worth was. So I actually said a super fucking low number because I didn't know and I didn't want to lie. And I'm like, what's my EBITDA? What's 5x EBITDA? Like, I didn't even understand that I would have gotten a better valuation than that because of what the companies were. And also because it was the early days of internet and they were internet companies. So there was a bunch of extra multiples that I didn't realize. So I'm just like on the fly trying to come up with my net worth because who the fuck thinks about that? I used to roll change to put gas in my car. I never thought I would have millions of dollars. So like when I was a kid, when I was a teenager delivering pizzas for tips and then like hustling Rhythm Sticks at night. And I grew Rhythm Sticks into a real company. And then I grew Anti-Establishment into a fucking real ass company selling millions of dollars worth of stuff. And then Delinquent Distribution selling a Hot Topic. And then the idea to do Sticker Junkie. Like I still just was a scrappy little street kid that grew up in the 70s and 80s in San Diego. There did become a disconnect for me with money because I had so much money. I was so far beyond comfortable. So I never thought about how much stuff cost anymore, ever. But I also had come from having no money. So when I lost everything, like a couple of years ago and started to rebuild again. If you follow my podcast, if you're not just listening for The Apprentice, and I totally started crying when I was like, I got hit with an $800 vet bill and I suddenly, honest to God, for one of the first times in my adult life, really understood what $800 meant to someone. And to somebody that wasn't actually in my position, that might mean they need to put their dog down instead of paying for that vet bill. Like, I cried for days. And I started to realize the value of money again in this last year. But like at this point in my life, we are not there. Like my car broke down. I had this 4Runner that I had forever that I had bought with like, I didn't even know, like 50 or 60,000 miles on it. And it had like 300,000 miles on it and it broke down and it was going to cost more than the car was worth. So I just like gave it to my friend's boyfriend. It had like $3,000 worth of repairs that needed to get done on the car. And he was a mechanic, so he could do them for like whatever. So I just gave him the car. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have enough money in my bank account to buy whatever car I want, like in cash. Like I have so much money. And I never thought about money. I never bought stuff for myself. It just didn't even occur to me. And I know how out of touch that sounds, but that is how out of touch with money that I was. So then I decided I wanted a G-Wagon and got a G-Wagon. So they come out here, the Apprentice producers, and they're filming me like drive up my 3/4 driveway in Santa Fe up the side of a mountain in my G-Wagon, just laughing my face off because I love to off-road, and even the nicest neighborhoods in Santa Fe are like dirt and gravel roads in the backcountry. It was off-road to get up to my house by a lot. Like you needed a lifted 4-wheel drive to get to my house, which was this beautiful Architectural Digest looking house. So the producers are there and they're filming all of this. They asked me my net worth and I said, I don't even know, you guys. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. So I said $8 million. Now keep in mind that I have companies that are doing $20 million in revenue. So the valuation of the company was way higher than that, but I never had my wealth assessed. I just said $8 million. And then many months later, when we finally go to shoot, which is like maybe 3 months or 2 months or several months after we're assessed, I was like, actually, it's probably worth way more than that. But I never put any other thought into it. And then we're filming the intros to the show and they asked me like, what's your net worth? And I said, well, I said 8 million in Santa Fe, but I actually think it's probably more. And they said, well, will you be comfortable? We're not going to make you do anything that you're uncomfortable with, but would you be comfortable saying it's 10 million? Because that just like sounds good. And I'm like, 8 million sounds good too, but yes. And I'm like, I truly think it's way higher than that because I had never put thought into it. And then I realized like, oh, I wouldn't just get a multiple of EBITDA. I would actually get a multiple of sales because it's a website company. Like this is all very new in 2004 or 2005 or whenever this is filming. And I was like, yeah, it's for sure. Like my net worth is for sure $10 million. And I've said to them all the disclaimers. I'm like, but that is literally only if I sell my companies. I don't have like $10 fucking million liquid cash in my bank account, although I did have the money to go buy a G-Wagon if I wanted it. I was doing well. I'd paid off every single penny of debt. I had just bought this new house, which with my whole heart, I wish I would have bought in cash outright, but I didn't. I bought it on one of those insane adjustable rate mortgages. Life is working for me though. So then they ask me when I'm in Los Angeles or New York or wherever it was filming next, what's your net worth? And they said, would you be comfortable saying 10 million? I was like, yes. So the first part, like the first couple minutes of my season are literally just me being like, oh, my net worth is $8 million. My net worth is $10 million, like edited right next to each other to make it look like I was lying. And I'm like, I can see how it looks that way. But there really was a thing that happened behind the scenes. And my net worth at that time, I don't even know what it would have been if I would have sold my companies then. But none of it was like, I could just have access to that cash right now. That was like if I hit all the exits and did all the things, which I very clearly did not do. So straight out of the gate, when the show gets released on the air, it looks like I just lied. I didn't, but it does look that way. But that was probably less of a big deal because it still was a lot of money. And because we were advertising $1 million worth of magazine ads a year back then on the back covers of like Rolling Stone and Maxim, Blender, Stuff, High Times, like name the magazine, that is how you got people to websites back then. Ridiculous. But like, so when I walked in and met all the other contestants on The Apprentice, so many of them were like, oh my God, I totally have been to your website. I've seen ads everywhere for your website. Whoa, I can't believe you own that company. That's so cool. And then we were on one of the location shoots, like very early on in Manhattan, and I was selling, I mean, millions of dollars worth of slogan t-shirts to Hot Topic. At one point, like at my highest point, my highest ever week, I was talking to this chick, Wendy, who used to be one of their VPs. And she's like, girl, you are like 40% of our shelf space right now because every single one of my things would hit. And because I was selling so many different brands to Hot Topic, like all of a sudden I was very outpaced and outsized in their stores. And they did pull that back actually a little bit, but my shirts sold well in Hot Topic, like hundreds of thousands of shirts per design. So we're on location, like one of the first things, and this person is walking down the street in Manhattan, and I look over at Sean Yazbek, who ended up winning season 5 of The Apprentice, and was like, hey, that's one of my shirts, because he's one of the people that was like, what? You own Sticker Junkie? Are you kidding me? I know this company. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, that's your shirt? And the person walks by and he's like, that's our shirt, which was hilarious. But I was like, I had no reaction because I would see people wearing shirts that I had made every single day at this point. If I was just out in any city, I would see somebody wearing one of my shirts because we sold $400 million worth of t-shirts total. I had come into episode 1 not having ever seen the show because I didn't own a television. So then when I got cast, I got the first season on DVD. For some reason, I didn't understand that everybody there wasn't also an entrepreneur, which they're not. Like the premise of the show is that they're not. The premise of the show is we're going to take people from all walks of life and they're going to do an entrepreneurial competition with Donald Trump, and whoever wins is going to get to like be the project manager of one of his things. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that's like a PhD in commercial construction for me. That's crazy. I will do that for sure. And I actually will go be the project manager. But I guess there was like 2 different prizes, and you could either take a cash prize or you could actually like go and do the work and be a project manager. And up to the point of the season that I was on, nobody actually did the work. Everybody just wanted to like have a paycheck and maybe getting on a speaker's tour, maybe doing some other thing in the entertainment industry afterwards. But I didn't even really have any aspirations for that. So that, which is why it's funny that I'm doing this now. We'll touch on that later in a further down the line episode. I just went because I did used to have these panic attacks. That's why I told this part of the story. And I had gotten over them. And Richard, my mentor, said to me, hey, I've never met anybody in my whole entire life who's at a higher degree of control over their life than you. You literally choose every employee that works for you. You choose every partner in business you have. You choose every partnership with any other company that you do. You choose every client that you have, and you completely reserve the rights not to do business with the client if they are an asshole. You choose everyone on your top team, everyone on your support team. And if you don't like them, you're not going to work with them. So then Richard said, hey, it would actually be really good for you to do one of these shows for a different reason than anyone would suspect, because they will take your cell phone from you. You do not have your network anymore. You don't have your contacts anymore. Your life is not going to be easy for you again. You do not have your wallet when you're there. So you don't have a credit card, so that for gaming law reasons, so you can't have an unfair advantage when you're in this competition against other entrepreneurs. So I did the show to sort of prove to myself that no, you're really over this and you really are more capable than you know. Because when I did get over the panic attacks, which I talked about in the previous episode in Secrets of the Apprentice Part 1, I would start to do little things. And I did not say this in that episode. I used to like say, okay, I'm going to go to Target right now and get these two things on my list, like socks and whatever. And either I'm going to walk out with a new pack of socks or I'm going to die of fright from this panic attack. One of those two things is for sure going to happen because I don't care how overwhelmed I feel and how much anxiety I feel. I'm going to go to the Target and get this. Not only that, I'm not going to go the second that it opens first thing in the morning because I had kept limiting my life from these panic attacks. I had one at night, so then I wouldn't drive at night. I had one in Target, so then I would only go to Target the second it opened. And I started challenging all of these things that I had sort of shrunk myself into when I was having anxiety. And I went to a restaurant and I deliberately sat in the worst possible seat because I would always have to sit with my back to a corner. So I would sit like in the corner of a restaurant with my back to this whole big ass room, which was really challenging for me back then. And I had done all these things. And Richard was like, yes, but you still control every part of your universe. So it would be really good for you to go on a television show like this. Maybe not Survivor, maybe not the hardest one, even though he did offer me Survivor at one point, someone backed out. But like, if you want a latte and there's nobody to take you down to the Starbucks that is literally one floor down from you, then you just don't get to have one. Or if you have a task where you have this big thing and you literally know the CEO of that company or someone on the C team of that, you can't contact them. Like you can't pull in any favor from any of your people. You get no clout. You just have to do this from scratch as an entrepreneur and win this little assignment, this 24 or 36-hour entrepreneurial assignment. For someone like me that started 14 companies, are you kidding me? That sounds like heaven. That sounds so fun. That's why if you listen to the previous episode, I sound like such a fucking asshole when they're like, you can win this game. And I'm like, yeah, because all I'm thinking is, this is what I do for a living. I have started 14 fucking companies and I haven't started 14. I only say 14 because I sound like an asshole if I say I've started 18 companies. And has it been more? I don't know. I truly lose count. I truly lose count because I love doing stuff like this. And to start a company and to receive a task on The Apprentice, that's like a 24, 36-hour task that you're just going to be awake for the next 36 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is and bang it out. Because by the way, their weeks are usually 2 to 3 days. So if you're watching week on week on week, an episode of The Apprentice, that was filmed in like 2 days. So I get to The Apprentice and I walk in and there is no prompts. I truly didn't know what was going to happen next. They just said, go walk up to this terminal at the airport and ask for Mr. Trump. And I'm like, first of all, I sound like a fucking asshole. I'm not calling him that. I don't call anybody Mr. anything. That's weird. But I did because I think I was told to, and then I never called him that again, which I later found out he didn't like when people call him Donald. He only likes it when they call him Mr. Trump. And I'm like, I feel like such an ass kisser. That's a weird, I grew up in San Diego. We didn't really do that. I didn't grow up in the South or something where that was common. So I go and I ask for Donald. And they point me to the private airplane, his 747 airplane. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is super casual. I'm here for this. So I get on the airplane and remember, Mark Burnett had told me to cut my hair like an Irish woman. And so I did. I cut like these cute little micro bangs and dyed my hair red, this like deep auburny red that looked like a Coca-Cola color, like cherry Coke, where it's like brown when you're inside, but you go outside and this beautiful auburn red and I have bright blue eyes and these little cute micro bangs and every perfect outfit you can imagine. Girl, come on. My businesses were in Santa Fe and I owned fuck you t-shirt companies and a sticker company. So I had cute clothes. We'll have to do a clothing review when The Apprentice airs again, which spoiler alert it is. Oh yeah, my season of The Apprentice is about to come to Amazon Prime. Sure is. So I had like True Religion jeans and like a Johnny Was, jacket and some kind of tank top or something and some big chunky turquoise necklace because I live in Santa Fe. Like that's usually what I wore. So when I went on the show, I went shopping and I didn't even know how to go shopping for the kind of clothes I thought I would need. And I was so fucking rich, you guys. It was ridiculous. When I decided that I wanted to get a G-Wagon, I went into my bank account and I was like, oh yeah, I have $1 million. I can buy whatever car I want. I had $1 million just casually in my bank account, not investing, not doing anything with it. That's just how much was in the account. And I was like, oh, I guess I can get whatever car I want. And then I test drove like every car in Santa Fe at like whatever, the Range Rovers and the Land Rover and all these different ones. And I already knew I was going to get the G-Wagon. So I went and bought the G-Wagon, obviously. But like in the very first part of the show, when they like pan out on my beautiful like estate in Santa Fe. I owned my own mountain in Santa Fe. It was like either a really big hill or a really, really small mountain. So of course we'll call it a mountain. And I'm like doing yoga on my deck and I'm driving in my G-Wagon. I had heard that someone on my season, or it might've been a different season, like rented a Ferrari to make it look like they were rich. And then the people who were filming the little opening segment for that person, they saw like the rental papers in the glove box because they just wanted to have a good segment for television. I had never seen television. I wasn't trying to present in any particular way. This is just what my life was. And so when you get on that show on The Apprentice, Donald Trump really often will say, so blah, 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 you're such and such. Like on my season, it was like, so Tarek, you're a member of Mensa. Like Tarek probably mentioned that 3 times, but it was edited into his thing like 300 times because they're just establishing who you are as a character. You know, Stacy, you're like a prosecutor in New York. So Allie, you're a Harvard MBA. So he had like a little title for everybody. And mine was, so Andrea, you're a self-made multimillionaire. What do you think? Well, I didn't understand that everyone on there wasn't going to be a self-made multimillionaire because I really did think that they were. I really did think. I don't know why I thought this. None of this makes any sense. I didn't have a TV. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to it. I didn't go on it to like be on a reality TV show. I literally went on there to see if I was actually through my panic attacks because now all of a sudden I'm in an environment where I can be told, no, you cannot get help with this. No, you cannot dig into your own resources. No, you cannot go downstairs 1 flight of stairs to get yourself a latte. If you want one, even if you have a headache, no, we don't have time to send somebody with you. You're not literally not allowed to go alone. No, you can't leave. No, you can't do this. I had never heard that in my life. I had 100% control over my life and my time. And I was so wealthy that I could do whatever I wanted. And when I tell you, when we were on that show, waiting to go in the boardroom, if Donald was late or not there or many hours late, you would be told to sit on the floor on this cold ass, freezing fucking cold marble tile floor in Trump Tower for hours. And the wardrobe I had gotten, girl, come on. I got Dolce & Gabbana and Prada and Gucci, none of the shit with the fucking big logos, but like beautiful, custom cut Dolce & Gabbana suits to my yoga body. And I was wearing 4-inch Prada heels, 5-inch Prada heels, as one does, and boots. And they were like, sit on the floor for 2 hours or 4 hours or however long until Donald was ready to shoot. And if he got there and production was running late, he would leave for an extra amount of time just to be like, I don't wait for you. You wait for me. So that comes in later. And I had heard from people on the crew that he would do that. And so they used to literally, because I was so nice to everyone on the production crew. Now, not all of them liked me. That's true because I had a really hard, like very hard personality, especially when I was young. But I was so nice to all of them. And a lot of them did like me. A lot of them liked me because I was like just kind to them. And I would ask them because it was fascinating to me. Like, how do you become an executive producer on a TV show in Hollywood? I don't know that life story, but at the same time, they're looking at me like, you're a self-made multimillionaire. How the fuck did you do that? Some people, I won't say which ones, were like, I am very special and I'm a star now and I'm on a television show and you are working on the production crew and not worth my time. And I fucking hate people like that. Girl, come on. I delivered pizzas. I rolled change to buy gas. I worked at a frozen yogurt shop. I worked at fucking Foot Locker back in the day when you had to put shoes on people's feet. My first job was a janitor at McDonald's. Okay. I'm like a assistant producer in Hollywood. That's baller. Are you kidding me? I had the same thing that like a lot of people have that just like find success at a thing. Even though I started to expand my horizons and learn about lots of other stuff, what I actually knew how to do was sell a product to people. So I knew how to go into a store, into a chain of stores, into any sales situation and sell my clients t-shirts, patches, pins, stickers, hats, whatever. And I could reach out to people online and sell stickers. That's what I knew how to do. And I knew how to start a web company. I learned how to do that. And I knew how to play these rhythm sticks and I've been a fire dancer. But I was like riding in the center of my skill set. And kind of being on The Apprentice actually made me realize that I know how to start any company because I was just starting Zoco Inc., which I talked about in the previous episode. I was just kind of expanding into tech companies and being like, wait a minute, if I know how to start one company and take it to, 10 or $20 million in revenue, then I probably know how to start other companies in other different areas and do that, but there's a learning curve. So I thought when I walked onto the set of I fucking shit you not. When I walked onto the set of The Apprentice, I thought, these are my people. This is my community. This is going to be the first time in my life where I have ever been in a room with just only my peers, self-made multimillionaire entrepreneurs fighting to like go build this building. Spoiler alert. So that is not what I found. I did meet some extraordinary people. I have people from that show that I keep in touch with on and off to this day. However, I did not realize that every person on this show wasn't like some prodigy entrepreneur when there was no internet. There was nobody giving us courses on how to accelerate what we're doing. Nobody was telling us how to like go to a swap meet and buy stuff and flip it for a higher price. Like we didn't have any of that in the fucking 70s and 80s. Give me a break. Okay, so here's what happens. When I go on episode 1 and I get on the plane, Trump clearly doesn't recognize me because I do not have the platinum. He literally doesn't know who I am. And I can tell because he keeps looking at me and trying to figure it out. And I can see him trying to work it out. And I don't have the platinum hair anymore. And I didn't have bangs then either. And then I cut the micro bangs and I got this super cute like auburn haircut. I'm holding up a picture for people who are on YouTube. But if you're on audio only, I look like the Charlie's Angel redhead with micro bangs and bright blue eyes and yoga chick and perfectly dressed and whatever. And that isn't how I was at the interview. And I did end up buying not many, but like a couple really nice skirts. Like I bought a beautiful Dolce & Gabbana skirt. I bought a beautiful Gucci skirt and I bought all the different heels from all the different places. And I just looked the way I was supposed to look because when I was in Santa Fe as a multi-million-dollar business owner, it really was okay for me to show up in jeans and a blazer. So I show up looking just right. And he's like, who the fuck is this? But not in a creepy way, which I'm not his type. So there was nothing like that towards me because I was not his type. And he did like very funny people who are not affected by the fact that he is super famous, who are just like, I don't know, interested. I was very curious about all of his projects. I had done my research. So I asked him continuously about all the projects he was working on, and I knew all of them. So it's the first episode of The Apprentice. I'm on the plane. We get the assignment. He doesn't realize who I am. Then he gets it and he's like, oh, okay, well, all right. Maybe this chick is a contender. Then we get assigned to our thing, which was like a task to Walmart to sell credit card processors. Well, guess what? I used that credit card processor. Yeah, I did. For my $20 fucking million in revenue annual. Yeah. Which guess what? Nobody else had. So nobody else on my team had an entrepreneurial company that was doing any kind. Nobody else on my team had an entrepreneurial venture to the point where they had a single employee. And so I was feeling very deceived. I was like, I thought it was going to be very different. Now a lot of them were not accomplished at all. I'm just lying right now. So that's why the alcohol is here to keep me honest. But they had like done their thing, but nothing else. So like, there was a lawyer who like very fucking baby barely just graduated law school. So is making a living as like a jazzercise instructor, which is fantastic. But was saying that she's a trial lawyer. I'm like, that's aggressive. You graduated from law school 3 months ago. And there was a woman who was like a sales manager at a Fortune 500 or something to do with sales there. But like, you know, not like a C-team position, obviously, because she was like 30. And there was like a guy, I don't even remember what the fuck he did, but he became a congressman. So he did really well in life. But I think he was like a lawyer back then, just like a regular lawyer. And there was a couple lawyers. And one of them became my really good friend, who's a best-selling New York Times bestselling author, Casey Schneider. She wrote a book called How to Beat Your Husband and Win Your Divorce, or something very similar to that, which is a very funny book, like a very funny title, except for it actually just teaches people how to come out even and not be emotional in a divorce. It's a lovely book. She's a New York Times bestseller. It's a great book. But it wasn't like a bunch of other people who had started many, many, many multi-million-dollar entrepreneurial companies, which is what I thought. I truly actually thought it was going to be. So I can't remember if the first task was at Walmart or at Costco, but what I do remember is that it was for credit card processing payments. And I personally at the time, like Stripe didn't fucking exist. This is like 2004. Okay. So I'm running my credit card transactions through a terminal I bought from Costco, and Wells Fargo is also taking fees. Yeah, there was a class action lawsuit about that later. So I have been using Costco as my credit card processor for my like millions of dollars in sales. And I think the task was either, I can't remember if it was at Walmart or Costco. I can't remember if it was like at Walmart and they came out with a better product that I was going to switch to, or if it was at Costco and they were offering a new rate on this product. I think it was at Costco though. And I was like, whoa, this is such a good rate because it's like 0.5% less. And I'm running millions of dollars in sales, millions and millions. And so whatever this credit card processor was, it was such a huge savings that like, oh my God, I'm going to change my own companies over to this afterwards. So I was so good at selling it because there's all these entrepreneurs. And the second that they walk in the door, they're flagged as like an executive. It had to have been Costco because they're flagged as an executive member and they're sent over to us. And I was an entrepreneur who had this service and all of a sudden it's going to be so much cheaper. So I'm like proselytizing of just like, you guys, this is such a good fucking deal. You're only getting charged like 1.85% or whatever it was. And I'm like, this would save me like thousands of dollars a month. So if you have a company where you're running like $10,000 in charges right now, you're going to save yourself $300-400 fucking bucks a month. Let me get you signed up. Doesn't cost you any more. Your card already, whatever. You're already on here. The quantity that I sold was so shockingly higher than the other team. But this other chick had been project manager. So when we went in, they just chose the chick that went from Harvard and the dude that was a Mensa guy. And I had a good rapport with Tarek, like just visually. So I couldn't believe he didn't choose me first and he chose somebody else first. I'm like, you're going to pay for that. That was not a good choice. That was not a good choice. You thought I'd be in the second round, but you wouldn't be. Because Allie chose like Tammy, and then Tark didn't even, I feel like, chose me second. So Allie chooses me and I'm on her team and I make all these sales, but like she was the project manager. So whatever, that's great that she got credit. Obviously people were like, hi, Andrea sold all the stuff because I sold all the stuff because I intimately understood this product immediately and how much it would save. And I am a salesperson. That is what I do. As the CEO, the jobs in all of my companies is to start partnerships with other equal size or bigger companies or smaller companies and create our high-end network of clients. So like in a sticker business, you're going to have tiers of clients. So you're going to have your clients that spend, like our top tier clients spend an average of $4,700 a year on stickers, but there's a higher tier of people that on average spend like $30,000 or $40,000 a year on stickers. And there's an even higher tier of like Fortune 500s and big institutions that spend 200 grand a year on stickers. So as a CEO, my whole job is to go get more of those high tier clients, the highest tier, the second down and the third tier clients, and just talk to them all day long and be like, hey, happy to talk to you. Do you buy $5,000 worth of stickers a year? Let's go. So on The Apprentice, I insisted that my name tag on there be a sticker company owner. And Mark Burnett was like, no, you have started like 14 companies. Or at the time we had started 7 or 8. And he's like, we're not going to put you as a sticker company owner. That sounds like it's so small. But I understood how much traffic my website would get if I said I was a sticker company owner. And I'm like, no, that's the title I want. And you did get to choose your own title. So as The Apprentice re-airs now on Amazon Prime, it's going to say Andrea Lake, sticker company owner. Whoever's watching that show, come buy your stickers from me. So the first episode is recording and I'm like on it. I am on fire. I am making all of the sales, all of them, because I know how good this product is. And then we get all the good reports and our team does win. And then we go to Donald Trump's reward. So if you lose the task, you go to the boardroom and the other team lost the task. And if you win the task, then you go to the reward. So we smash the other team. We come up with this team name Synergy and like create this logo because I'm like, no, we have to create a logo. And I use like fucking Logo Nerd or some early day thing because I knew all the entrepreneurial stuff. I immediately had set up this spreadsheet immediately the second we got our laptops to like run through how do we do this? What kind of sales metrics do we need? What is our best path for everything? Who's doing what? Do task allocation. Like I created this I forgot about this. I created this master spreadsheet that would keep us organized. Because remember, guys, I've started 14 companies. No one on my team had a background of being able to quickly start and sell something. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm on it. Like, let's go. We smashed this task out. But honestly, it just was really lucky that we had gotten assigned this product that I fucking top to bottom knew the intricacies of, knew how much it usually cost, knew how much its good value was, and could easily, in my head, convert when somebody would be like, well, we only do $20,000 in sales. And I'm like, okay, well, out of your $20,000 in sales that you do right now, you are paying 3% in credit card fees. Instead of paying $600 in credit card fees, you could be paying like $180 in credit card fees. And they were like, what? I'm like, yes, because you can check this thing and do this thing less. And like whatever the fuck the product was that made it the best to advantage to them, I could put that in mathematic, like very easy money terms of how many hundreds or in most cases of small, like I have a deli and I run $7,000 worth of transactions a month. I'm like, girl, do you actually know how much you could save? Just by getting a couple percent back? Like that's hundreds of dollars. That's your whole entire electric bill or your whole entire whatever bill. So I sold a very lot more of these than the other team. And then I told my people on my team how to sell them and like what the advantage was to a business owner, and that I understood because I pay, tens of thousands of dollars at this point in credit card fees, and there's no way around it. So this was like such a better deal than the normal deal. So we win, and we don't just win, we win. And then we're going to the reward, which is that I don't remember, fancy fucking New York country club private dining area thing. At the time, I'm dating Jack from the previous episode, who is a very wealthy multimillionaire guy. I myself am a very wealthy multimillionaire gal. And I have come up with a strategy that I used at restaurants all the time, where I would just say, hey, do you have something kind of quiet and private, like off in a corner? It's our anniversary and we just want to have a quiet space. So really often in the type of like really fucking, I'm so bougie, in the ridiculous Michelin star restaurants we're going to, because we're both foodies. We would eat everywhere, but we would try new things at a fast food place, but we just loved food. So we would very often get to sit for free in a private reserved area of a nice restaurant, because if it wasn't rented out that night, like it might cost, it's like $1,000 now, but it used to cost like $200 or $150 to rent out the private back room of a restaurant that might seat like 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 diners. But they would sit us back there all the time because just like nobody was getting it. And we asked. And really often too, I'd be like, if you have like a private reserve area that's like not rented, if we could get just like a small, like a nominal up, because we don't want to pay that much for it, but if you could sit us back there. I sit to say, I've been to many restaurant situations like this with Michelin star chefs. I've been to many Michelin star restaurants. I know I'm like, oh, I have this beautiful G-Wagon, which I do, but I like buy something and then I have it for 20 years. So the things I spend money on are experiences, and I love food. So of course I will go to some foodie mecca or some fucking winery or some place that's just cool to have an experience of like, what is it like when this thing gets made at this place? And I know I said at the Prada and Dolce & Gabbana, but that was only for like the Apprentice. I don't want a $5 million diamond. I like want to go on another trip to New Zealand that might cost 20 grand, because I'm going to stay at all the cool sort of off-road places where I can go hike in the best spots. That's always sort of the type of wealth that I had, and it's the type of wealth that I really aspire to. Like, I just don't have to think about what I want to do based on how many dollars are in my bank account. I want to just only place value on what I want to do by what I actually want to do. And that is the type of wealth that I had. So as we're going to this like very like fancy place that you have to have a big, huge membership to get into, and it's people that I wouldn't want to invite to my house for dinner. And I'm already in all the biggest business. I'm already in YPO. At this point, my companies are already making over $10 million annual revenue. So I can go in these rooms anytime I want. And so not only am I not impressed, I truly asked them, can I maybe not go to the reward because I'm just tired and I would prefer to sleep? And I go to shit like this all the time. And I'm like, a Manhattan fucking private room is not my scene. To which they're like, what? Like, it was so different than what I thought it was going to be that I wanted to leave. And that's a story for the next episode, because I told them I wanted to leave and they're like, we'll make you look crazy. We'll follow you with cameras. And I'm like, shit, fuck, I'm trapped here. I like just wanted to sleep. And they're like, that's not a thing. You're on a TV show. You're going to go film. I'm like, cool. So we go to this fancy pants place, and 0%, if my life depended on it, I could not remember what it is, and have this dinner, which was delicious. We're at the bottom level of this really nice, swanky, sort of private club in Manhattan, and there's an elevator, and Donald Trump is standing between us and the elevator, and everybody's sort of going past him to get into this elevator, and I am just hanging back because I'm like, cool, I want to be at the front of the elevator with him. And we have all been told very clearly, in no uncertain terms, multiple times, do not try and shake Donald Trump's hand. He does not want to shake your hand. If you shake somebody's hand, he's going to want to wash his hands, and he doesn't immediately have access to do that. So just don't do it. He doesn't like it. And I was like, cool, same. Like, why is that a thing? I am sitting at a table where food is being served. Why do you want to shake my hand when right as my food is coming? No. So I was like, cool, same. And then this guy that was on my season, this dude, Brett, like kind of blunders in, stumbles over himself, sort of trips, but catches himself really quick and has his hand extended to shake Donald's hand. And we're all like, like, what even are you doing right now? And this guy kind of had a larger than life, sort of personality. So Brett comes, stumbles over himself, hand outstretched, and Donald backs away. And it's like, And now remember, I'm the only person by the door because I'm going to stand next to Donald in the elevator, obvi. And so he's like, I don't want to shake your hand. And Brett kind of walks past him. And then I'm still standing right next to him at this point. And he's a commanding guy. He's a tall guy. And I'm tall and in heels. And he reaches over to me to shake my hand. And I shake his hand and he pulls me in. And he's got like his hand here, like a hand on the shoulder, and I'm shaking his hand. I put my hand on top of his hand. And he's like, this is the type of person I want. If I want to shake hands, I'm going to shake hands with a beautiful woman. But I know that how that sounds, but he really wasn't saying it sexually because there was other women there that he would put in that category. And I was more just like the smart chick that's going to make you laugh category. And I was like, yep. And he goes, wow, you have a really, really good handshake. And I'm like, my dad was a submarine sailor. He taught me that. And I said something else funny that like made Donald laugh. And then we get into the elevator and we are standing, Donald and I, facing each other. And everybody else is standing towards the front of the elevator facing us, watching us have a one-on-one conversation with each other. I am going to take my lessons from that rugby chick who's like, I don't have imposter syndrome, where I'm like, how do Gen X women have such a hard time complimenting themselves? I'm funny. I'm fucking funny. And I am fucking funny on the fly. And I am way funny to a Gen X person. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, but to Gen X men, they think that I'm hilarious because I am quick-witted and funny because you had to be in my household. So I don't remember what the conversation was, but I remember that I'm making him laugh multiple times on the way up in the elevator. And then we get out of the elevator and we are immediately funneled into this hallway where I hold back. And at the second we get out of the elevator, I let everybody else go in front of me because I noticed Donald is also holding back. And everybody else passes us and funnels into a hallway where they are facing us again, he and I, in a private conversation with each other while all the other winners of this task are watching us just talk to each other. Because that is it. That's what's happening. And I'm asking him about like the thing and the prize. And I said, oh yeah, I have a vacation home in Sedona, Arizona. This is a different house. This is years ago. I'm like, oh, I live part-time in Sedona. So the project I actually want is the Phoenix project, period. That's the one I want. And so I heard you got limited, like a cap on the limit of how high that building can be. And he's like, those fucking motherfuckers. And I was like, oh, I am in like Flynn. That's his response. He and I are going to get along just fine. My dad was a submarine sailor. I can talk to the dude who his response is, those fucking motherfuckers wouldn't give me my permit. I'm like, cool. We're going to be fine. We're going to be homies. We're going to be friends. I'm going to win this season right now. And I was like, oh, those assholes. And he's like, yeah, I'm limited at like 12 stories. And I'm saying all the right things that you would say in response. And I have a potty mouth. My dad was a submarine sailor. We are making each other laugh, Donald and I, over and over again to the many other times in this, but this is the first time. And I am asking him about his favorite subject, himself. I am not talking about Donald Trump, president. I'm talking about Donald Trump on The Apprentice. I was shocked that I liked him. Why was I shocked that I liked him? Oh, good question. How about if we start our read on Ramin Satuti's New York Times bestselling book that just came out a couple of months ago, Apprentice in Wonderland, and you tell me what he said in his book, and I will give you the rest of the story. I know I've given you a lot already, but here we go. During season 5, which aired in 2006, it filmed in 2005, but it aired in 2006. The team working on The Apprentice have resigned themselves to the notion that it was a once hot show that was sinking fast. True facts. Far from an unusual predicament in the TV business. Also true. As the contestant search was underway, producers were already whispering that this could be the end. So I was told directly, I was called and told, this is the last season that Apprentice is going to air. This is going to be your last opportunity for it. Your business probably will get a bunch of attention, but more than that, you're going to grow a lot because you're going to get over the panic attacks. You're going to realize you're stronger than you think that you are. Like, you should do this season, period, because it's not going to be an opportunity again because this show has run its course and this is going to be the last season of the show. That is what I was told when season 5 came around. That's why I said I could do it if I could stay in contact with my businesses, then like I could go do the show. That would be super fun. What a life experience, blah, blah, blah. And I really did want to see what it would be like when I was challenged, because once Richard pointed out to me, like, you've never had to do anything. If you don't like somebody, they're gone out of your life, period. And so you have always chosen your clients. You have always chosen your employees. You have always chosen all the things. It's like, you need to see that you could actually handle yourself in a situation where you don't have any choices, where it's just handed to you. You actually can handle like a situation like that. So I'm on the show, and I only went on because I thought the show was failing and wouldn't air again. That's true. And I quote in Ramin's book, I was straight up told it was going to be the last season ever, and that's why I should do it, says Andrea Lake. Then a 31-year-old serial entrepreneur from San Diego who asked the show to credit her as a sticker company owner. That's right, I did. To help boost the sales of her latest company. Since then, she's indeed sold millions of stickers. Ramin, why did you not put in here that stickerjunkie.com was my company? And why am I only just now seeing that you didn't put that in your book? Ramin, come on, brother. What are you doing? Quote, there was minimal promotion, almost none. Also true. Previous contestants have been like on the Today Show and all this promotion afterwards. And I thought I'd be able to talk about my companies and get people to buy stuff. But nay, my friend, there was nothing. I did not get to go do the late night circuit. I didn't get to do any national interviews on shows. NBC was no longer interested in this show by the time I was on, because they did not promote us at all whatsoever in any way. There was minimal promotion, almost none, Lake says. I knew that was weird. I did know that was weird. For season 5, NBC had moved The Apprentice to Monday nights, giving away its coveted Thursday time slot to the lowbrow comedy My Name is Earl. To many, the writing was on the wall. Trump and The Apprentice were no longer a priority for NBC. Even Mark Burnett was slowly backing away and letting Jay Beanstalk keep the reins as the show's producer on the ground. True facts. He was the main producer on the ground when I was on there. Lake, who didn't own a television, true fact. So ridiculous. Who goes on a reality TV show and has never seen the show and has never seen reality TV and doesn't understand what an alliance is, or that there is something else other than just being your best entrepreneur and then you're going to win a reality TV business competition because you actually are the best entrepreneur? Just only me. Put a finger down if. Give me a break. Okay, Lake, who didn't own a TV, had never seen The Apprentice before, but she says producers had pursued her to join the show because of her success in business. They did indeed. She'd earned her first $1 million at 25. One of her mentors had been Dr. Richard Levack. True fact. A renowned psychologist who did the vetting for Survivor and The Apprentice in the early days of reality TV. On his recommendation, she was put through to the final stages of the interview. Burnett, who still participated in the auditions alongside Trump, simply because he relished messing with contestants, tried to throw off Lake by saying, your friend told us that you were actually really lonely. I already told that story. And the way he said it cut into my soul and made me tear up. Lake said, I looked at him and said, you're fucking completely full of shit, which is true. And he laughed really hard, and he didn't do that anymore. It was a longer story. I already told it earlier. I should have read this earlier. At Trump Tower, Lake was expecting to live with some of the most accomplished up-and-coming entrepreneurs in the country. Instead, when she finally met the cast, whose professions ranged from medical sales manager to a retailer to multiple attorneys, she was underwhelmed and tried to quit. We're going to get to that story on the next episode. I really did. Quote, I felt completely lied to. True fact. She said, I told the producers that I was going to walk off the show because it was so very different than what was described. And they said, we're going to follow you around with the camera and make you like a crazy person if you do that. So she was forced to stay. And surprisingly, the person who made her time on The Apprentice the most bearable was someone she thought she was going to hate. I didn't think I was going to hate him. That is actually not true. I thought I was going to dislike him. I don't hate people for shit like this. I just didn't think I was going to like the type of person who did what I'm about to read next. Donald Trump, quote, who is going to dislike Donald? Quote, I had a really bad perception of him going in. That's true. Lake says, I think it should be a criminal to file corporate bankruptcy and maintain your private wealth as a strategy, and to do that multiple times in a row, which he had done. How is that a radical statement? Of course I think that. I think that if some very, 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 very wealthy person is starting a company and not putting zero of their dollars in, and then getting bank dollars against the company and then filing bankruptcy over and over and over and over and over again. First of all, why the fuck is the bank still lending them money? That's the bank's fault. It's the bank's fault. Secondly, this is clearly a strategy because they're maintaining their private wealth and paying themselves out of that company, and then the company files for bankruptcy. Well, who handles the bankruptcy? Well, since the bank bailouts, we do. So when the bank gives a loan to someone for reasons best known to themselves, who continually defaults on loans and is doing it as a strategy. Think about that. You're going to get arrested if you go into a bank and take $2 million from them. But if you're a super rich person, you just say, bye, I think this company is going to do this. Then it doesn't do this, but you paid yourself a very lot out of the company before you defaulted on the loan. No worries, no big deal. That's legal. Sorry, excuse me, what? Now what? And who pays for that? Oh, taxpayers that do bank corporate bailouts. That's who. That's literally who. And remember, folks, not super political, not a Democrat, not a Republican. There's a whole lot in the middle that we all agree on, that every person on every side that ever just heard me say, maybe let's don't do it that way, where you and me pay for a very bad risk at a bank that's probably going to end up in bankruptcy. And we're going to, as a society, bail that bank out so our banking system doesn't collapse. Maybe let's have better guardrails on things like that. I don't know. You think? Maybe. And so I did not think I was going to like somebody who, as a strategy, had filed for corporate bankruptcy time after time after time after time. So many times of failing so many companies that I'm like, this can't be anything but a strategy to accrue wealth. And that is no bueno with me, but whatever. So I had a really bad perception of him going in. So I didn't expect to like him because of his lack of ethics in business. That is true. But as a person, I found him very funny and we joked around and we got along really well. Also true. And if I had dinner with him right now, he would make me laugh. So when people had the viral moments of like Donald Trump making Barack Obama laugh at Jimmy Carter's funeral, I'm like, he's legitimately really funny. So many people want me to hate the guy. I don't hate the guy. Do I hate a lot of the policies? Sure. Do I want somebody very different in there? Sure. But we got to stop putting people on two sides. Okay. And that's all we have from Apprentice in Wonderland today. We proceeded to stand and talk in that hallway for like 20 minutes because production was running late. And I know sometimes, especially when we have an episode where I drink alcohol, it seems like I'm off in the weeds and I'm never going to tie the story back together, but I will. So usually Donald would leave if production was running 20 minutes behind and show up like 4 hours later. So production was pleased as motherfucking punch when I'm just like making him laugh when we're standing in the hallway, because we stand and talk there for like 20 minutes because I am asking him about his legit favorite subject, himself and his business ventures. And I am like on the edge of my seat because I'm getting a front row glimpse into how $1 billion real estate transaction is taking place. And I'm asking all the right questions. And I'm like, oh no, what did they do? Why didn't you get that permit? That's such bullshit. And like, whatever. And like, maybe we should do this. And he's like, well, that's not even one of the prizes that's up. Like, you're either going to get to run Hawaii or fucking whatever. And I was like, I know some of your things are licensed, but you just introduced me to the CEO of that property because it's the only one I want. And I'll work a deal with them because I actually want to learn how to build one of these properties. And I'm not moving to Hawaii and I already have a home in Sedona. So like, well, let's just make this work. And he liked that, of course. It's flattering. I knew everything about the thing. So then production comes and says, we're ready. Well, now remember, normally he already would have left and not been back for 4 hours. So all of us walk in to go have dinner and everybody's kind of walking inside, milling around. And I'm close to him, but I'm not right next to him anymore because some people just sort of darted ahead. And he goes, Andrea, where are you going to sit? And I said, well, objectively, the right side of my face on camera it's just better. So I'm going to sit next to you on your left. The right side of my face is on camera. And he was like, fair. That sounds like a good plan. And he's laughing. And then we sit down and he and I are continuing this conversation. That is just this private off camera. And we are fucking, I don't remember what it was, just some banter. And we were making each other laugh. And he really wanted an on-scene romance to happen. And these dudes are young. They are all younger than me by like 2 or 3 years, or they're my same age, but they're presenting as young. And I'm like, I don't know. I usually date like slightly older guys, the guys that are 5 or 6 or 7 years older. And I also just date serial entrepreneurs because a guy has to understand my lifestyle. And somebody that's not living my lifestyle doesn't understand how much I travel and whatever. And he was like, do you see how smart she is to tell me this right now? But I'm just a Gen X woman. We know how to present ourselves to boomer men. And that just was normal. And then he's continuing this private conversation with me through the whole course of the dinner. And so like the first thing is served, the second thing is served is not interacting with anybody else. We're just like chatting with each other, making each other laugh. And then one of the producers steps in like right as they take away the first like soup thing and says, Donald, you have to talk to everyone. You have to talk to everybody else. And he leans over, and I know how this sounds to like Gen Z women, but this was like to a Gen X woman, this is the most innocuous thing that could possibly happen. I could tell he was not flirting with me at all in that way because we're Gen X women. So he like pats my hand and kind of holds it and looks around to everybody else. And he says to me, I'm so sorry, honey, I have to do this for the camera. And he goes, you, across the table. This guy, I'm not going to say which guy it was because I'm so sorry this happened to you. I really am. This guy is like completely caught unaware. And he's like, ask me a question. Come on right now. Ask me a question. They have to film it for the cameras. Come on. And he asks, like, whatever. Tell me about your biggest failure in business. Like, just some fucking panic response that you would have. Now, my mentor is a rich as fuck dude. I've known so many rich as fuck dudes at this point that I'm just like, just another rich as fuck dude. But the guy who's saying, ask me a question right now, he's never had an interaction with someone like this. And he goes, like, tell me about your biggest failure in business or something. And Trump goes, never heard that question before or whatever, but like in his way, which sounds meaner than the way that I just said it to someone who idolizes him, who's on the show right now. And he goes, yeah, and gives his answer. And he goes, you, next. And asks like other women on my team the question. And they ask whatever they ask, which was exactly what you would think if you were like terrified and 23 and getting asked a question for television. Then he turns right back around, pats my hand again. He's like sort of holding on to my hand in a lot of this time, and pats my hand again and goes, okay, where were we? And then he and I continue to have a private conversation for the rest of the like hour of the rest of the dinner. To the best of my recollection, pretty much how that went down. So when I say the people on my team hated me by the end of the first day, oh, they hated me. I don't know how many syllables that I can make the word hate into, but that many syllables of hated me. So then when we're going into this the second task, he already has started to taunt them because much like Mark Burnett, Donald Trump likes to mess with people. You can see he does it all the time. You can see it anytime. It's like it's playful for him. So he's like, yeah, none of you are going to be able to beat Andrea. I don't even know why you're still here. She has accomplished so much in such a short period of time because I have barely told him anything about myself, but like the 2 or 3 sentences I said were compelling to the point where even though we obviously mostly were talking about his real estate ventures or what was coming next for him, every now and again I would squeeze in like 7 companies. Yeah, like 4 of them are multi-million-dollar companies. Yeah, no, I didn't go to college. No, so-and-so was my mentor because he knew who my mentor was. No, yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm a quant trader. Like just little things where he's like, how the fuck are you on this show? I'm like, I know. So we're building this nice little rapport and he's pointing it out to my fellow contestants. Yeah, really consistently. And he's like, Andrea, you're a self-made multi-millionaire. Like, what do you think? And things go so downhill for me from that first dinner. But what a ride. And I will tell you more about it on part 3 of Secrets from The Apprentice. And maybe I'm going to rewatch this and decide if future episodes are done with or without alcohol. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I will talk to you next week on Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire.